All right, let's go ahead and get started with section 1.1, the credibility checklist. Now, before we begin, if you haven't registered your business, go ahead and skip this section, go to 2.2. That shows you how to register a business. Highly recommend you read 1.2. That gives you a deeper understanding of the actual credit tiers. And this checklist is what it's meant for. It's meant to see what tier your business is in, right? And you need to do this before you actually apply for funding or build a Paydex score, okay? So existing business owners are going to want to stay here and complete this, okay? Any issues or things you can't fix, don't worry about it. I'm going to show you how to fix them in 2.1. As you can see, it's a bunch of yes and no questions, right? That you go through. And once you completed everything, here's going to give you your funding tiers along as well as what needs to be fixed, right? And so depending on your answers, if you answered yes to all questions, you're tier one, right? You don't have any mismatch addresses, everything looks good. And basically, what this means is you can actually get funding now with a tier one business because all it means is that you have your tax returns, you've been in business over 2 years, and you don't have any sort of like inconsistencies in the business structure, right? So that's what this means. And really, you can start building a Paydex if you want, but to actually go ahead and get qualified for business cards or even a business line of credit, all that's required is a 680 FICO. And later on in section 5, I explain exactly how this works and how you can actually get started. Regardless, though, I'm going to show you how to still build a Paydex if you want, and I will still talk about Paydex later on in the course. Okay. Now, for you, you can go to section 5 to start finding banks, learning how to use your FICO, or you can go to building a Paydex and learn more about Paydex, okay? And this section here does appear in each tier, just in case someone missed it, right? I just wanted them to see. But anyways, tier 2 is partial credibility. So you need to fix a couple things, but you're still fundable, right? Basically, you answered yes to everything except these two questions. So question one, do you have at least 1 year of verifiable financials? Basically, it means your business is over 2 years old, but you don't have financials. To fix this, you need to get at least 1 year of financials, or you answered yes to all except is your business over 2 years old, right? Usually, this means you're 1 year in business with 1 year of financials. To fix it, wait until you're 2 years in business. And you can still be tier two with or without the financials, okay? I should probably clarify that. So now, what does this mean? You can qualify for funding, but approvals and limits may be smaller, right? Until your business is older and once you actually have the financials as well. Most lenders don't check Paydex actually, so you can get funding. And I'm still going to show you how to set up your Paydex score in section 4. With a 680 FICO, you can get business cards. That's the key difference. If you're under 2 years old, it's business cards. Over 2 years old, you can go ahead and get both. And again, I'm going to explain it in more detail here in section 5. But generally, tier 2 businesses qualify for business cards now, right? Once your business hits 2+ years old, with or without the financials, you can also unlock the business line of credit. And again, I explained it in section 5. So you can either go here to start finding banks, learning a bit about how to get funding, or go to section 4 for building your Paydex if you want, right? Which again isn't necessary. Tier 3 is limited credibility. It's possible to get you funded, but it will be a lot harder. And basically, you answered yes to everything except your business being over 2 years old and having at least 1 year of verifiable financials. Basically, what it means is you're under a year old, right? And you just don't have like the financials. You're still kind of new. You need to start tracking your revenue, getting your returns basically situated, and let your business age. Really, there's not much excuse me, that you can do in a situation like this because a lot of it's just you having to naturally grow over time, right? But that's okay. Now that you know exactly how you can go to tier two or tier one as you age the business. And as I mentioned, you can still get approved. It'll be smaller amounts. They may be a lot more strict. They may require extended verification. With the 680 FICO, you would be qualified for cards only. And then as you age, you can get the bigger products. And as I mentioned again, section 5 explains it all. or you can build your Paydex. 100% optional. Tier 4 is high risk. These are automatic denials. And what's funny is, well, not funny, but what can happen is you can be like a tier 1 business, and if you have any of these mistakes, you'll get automatically denied. So you're not using a physical address, right? So you're using like the virtual address. You need to make sure that the physical is matching across all your docs, and then also that it's a home address is fine, or an office address with like a lease agreement. You have mismatched business addresses and names. uh, it happens. I've had people where they register the business under one address, and then on the EIN they use a different one, and then when they go to the bank and they have a different address for that, and that's going to get you denied. It looks like fraud, and you don't want that. And then of course not having the correct business name, well, again, it just doesn't look good. Or and then here's question 5. It's kind of the same thing. You mismatch addresses on your legal doc. One's talking about the name, the other one's talking about like the addresses. And then the EIN, if you answered no to question 6, do you have an EIN? Well, of course you're going to need to get one, right? You don't have the business checking account, you're going to need one. And if your business name has words like crypto, credit repair, basically anything that can hint at the fact that you're in a high risk industry, then that could also cause automatic denials. So you want to avoid names that imply restricted industries like adult, firearms, cannabis, gambling, or any sort of money services. So best practice, choose broad, brandable names that work across multiple industries. So for example, Blue Ocean Inc., Summer Ventures Group LLC. Any like this can be anything, right? But if you were to do like Bob's Plumbing, right? Well, you just kind of, even if you change your industry code, you're going to be stuck in the plumbing industry, right? And then what can happen is if there's just, if the lenders don't like lending to plumbers, right? Well, then you're kind of stuck. Not kind of stuck. You're going to have a hard time. Compared to something more neutral, it allows you to go to multiple lenders and you can basically get the funding that you're going to need, right? So the next steps, if you believe you're tier 1, go to not tier, sorry, section 2.3 to read about the 5 mistakes that ruin credibility, right? Deeper understanding of the tiers, you can go here. And if you're ready to start fixing everything, section 2.1 is how to do it. And then as I mentioned, I'll still show you how to build your Paydex, right? But really a 685 goes all you need to be able to get started. And the only difference between the cards and the line of credit is the business has to be 2 years old, right? And I will explain everything in section 5 and 4 about Paydex and things like that, okay? Tier 5 is new business owners. They can go to section 2.2 to register the business, right? If you do not have a registered business yet. Now, again, if you're still reading this or going through this, I think you're going to do really well with funding because all of this is stuff that you could just skip ahead, right? But you're taking the time to learn, so I appreciate that. And being new doesn't mean you can't qualify for funding either. You can still get funding with a 680 FICO, but really the main things that you'll be able to get is business cards. There's alternative financing and things like that, but generally business credit cards is how a lot of people fund their startups. And as you get older, that's when you unlock the lines of credit, right? At 2+ years old. So your roadmap is register your business properly. And I want to clarify and preface this is more on like the lending aspect, the lending view, right? So it'll tell you more on how you should have it structured if for the funding, right? Now hit section 3 to complete your profile. And then 4, we build the Paydex, right? If you want, or you can just immediately go to the funding mastery. And then here are the automatic denials again, no matter what tier you're in. Again, because some people they land in a higher tier, but because of one of these mistakes here, they go into tier 4, which is auto denial. So that's how that works. And then I will show you how to fix everything. 2.1, like if you follow 2.1 up to section 3, you will fix the main mistakes. Like because that's what this guide is about, is to make sure you don't fall into automatic denial areas. So here's the summary. 1.2, again, that's a deeper understanding of the different tiers. Tiers 1, 2, 3, or 5, you're actually fundable now, and you can go to the business funding mastery. Tier 4, you're going to need to fix everything, so you want to go to section 2.1, right? So once your profile's clean, you have two paths. Go straight to section 5 or build your Paydex. Okay. Now, that's the conclusion of this section here. I'm going to go over to 2. Or not 2.1, sorry. Move on to the next video.